Polar bears. The main threat to Arctic polar bears is global warming. Arctic waters and ice are the polar bear's natural habitat. Polar bears have evolved to live in very cold temperatures, insulated by two coats of fur and a thick layer of fat to keep them warm even when they're hunting in freezing cold water or walking on very cold ice. There are somewhere between 20 and 25,000 polar bears living in the Arctic, spread across Canada, Greenland, Russia, Norway, and the United States, and Alaska. All the Earth's polar bears could fill maybe a quarter of the seats in a major college's football stadium. Unlike many bear species you may have heard about, polar bears do not hibernate. Incidentally, giant pandas don't hibernate either. Global warming affects polar bears in a few ways. As we discussed in Weather Report, the ice on which they hunt and roam is melting. This makes it harder for pregnant polar bear moms to find good spots to burrow and create ice dens where they can give birth and keep their newborns safe. Rising temperatures also make it harder for polar bears to hunt seals, their favorite food, because the seals too are desperately seeking out colder water, a search that often takes seals further and further away from polar bears. A number of subspecies of seals across the world are facing serious threats due to global warming and overhunting by people, not polar bears. That means an important food source for polar bears is becoming scarcer. Unlike giant pandas, polar bears are common in American zoos. I remember wishing I could swim with the polar bears on hot summer days at the Little Rock Zoo as they splashed and played in the water. Unfortunately, also unlike giant pandas, polar bears have not seen a rebound in the last decade. As ice continues to melt, polar bears continue to die. The Beaufort Sea polar bear, the subspecies that lives in northeast Alaska and Canada, has gone from 1,500 to 900 bears in less than 10 years. The U.S. Geological Survey predicts that if nothing happens to reverse the melting of Arctic ice, 2 out of 3 polar bears will disappear by 2050. That means, in our lifetimes, we will lose a majority of the world's polar bears. The main reason? The same agency predicts that by 2050, sea ice in the Arctic will be totally gone. In recent years, Arctic sea ice has been at the lowest levels ever recorded, and the structure of the ice has changed. It doesn't look like the solid cap of white we see on globes or in an atlas anymore. The remaining sea ice often floats in smaller and smaller chunks that are farther and farther away from each other. Imagine a game of hopscotch in which the squares were almost impossible to reach. That's the current reality for polar bears, forcing them to swim long and tiring distances. More and more polar bears are dying from drowning and lack of food, since they can't reach ice floes in time or find seals to eat. And they're having fewer babies because when they lose weight from eating less, they also lose the ability to have children. Polar bear moms need to gain a lot of weight before they have cubs, and if they can't do one, they can't do the other. If we don't stop global warming, polar bears will slowly, surely, die out in the wild.